Hello, Jamie from Inky and Scrappy, sharing with you today some ink blending, some emboss resist, a little bit of life. It's all good. So I'm starting with some Bristol Smooth cardstock cut in half, quarters, so 4.5 by 6-inch pieces. And then I am just setting that on my panel here. I'm going to mark it so I can line them all up as I go here. I'm pulling some sentiments off of Ink Road Stamps set called Boy Mommin'. Is it Boy Mom? It might be Boy Mom. And I'm just kind of pulling some of the text ones that are kind of not necessarily just the Boy Mom one. There's one that says Boy Mommin' every day, all day, every day. And I just kind of, that boy part is kind of way off on the side, and I knew I was going to cut the panels down, so I knew I could cut off the boy and it would just say Mommin'. And so these are going to go out for some Ink Road Roadies, Boy Mommin' Mother's Day cards, for some RAK, some Random Acts of Kindness cards, and I need 1 or 2 for a sibling or something. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to get them out in the mail today. I really suck at that part. So the first 2 panels I did just with some Versamark and clear, ultrafine clear embossing powder. And then for my second 2 panels, I am gonna bring in that gear stamp and do some freehand stamping. I don't know, what do you call regular stamping with your block? Freehand stamping? I don't know. So I'm going to bring in that block and I'm going to do some stamping, and I should have done this one the other way like I did the last one, but I was trying to get it to do like where you have the color underneath your clear emboss resist, and so you get that blue, but I didn't ink blend with dye inks, so it didn't give me that's probably why I didn't get the same effect I was thinking I was going to get. Plus, my dye ink let the embossing powder stick to it. Don't ask. It is what it is. So, it turned out cool in the end. Obviously, you got to see the little sneak at the beginning, so it's not like it was a bad look. It just wasn't what I was originally planning. And last week was just one of those weeks that I couldn't think too hard because my head hurt. Literally, my head hurt. I had a cold for a couple of days with a very lovely migraine, and I just wasn't in the mood to think too hard. So these ones were just going to be me ink blending and just kind of playing. So the last one I am going in with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then going over that with that clear embossing powder. And this is how I get my sentiments if I stamp them on anything. If I stamp them in black and I emboss, this is how I emboss. I try every once in a blue moon to do the clear with the black powder on top, and they always look like not very good. I don't know. This is the tried and true why I keep going back to black embossing powder, probably because I own it and I think I need to use it. Sometimes we just don't learn, right? I am one of those that just, yeah, it's going to work this time, right? It didn't. Anyways, back to this one. And then I did the clear embossing powder over the Versamark again. So those will show up once the ink blending is over the top. So there are my 4 panels. I am going to start with my first 3 blend combo of Mustard Seed, Twisted Citron, and Blueprint Sketch. This was my ode to toddlers color scheme, I guess. I don't know. I've been looking through my oldest scrapbooks to try to pull out some for his graduation party album, and those were just a lot of the colors that I used back then. I think it's just a little boy high energy color. That's what I'm going with. Little boy high energy blend. It's Blueprint Sketch, Twisted Citron, and Mustard Seed. And then I should have probably closed up my ink pads before I spritzed this with water, but I didn't. Here's hoping that it wasn't that big of a deal. I guess I'll find out next time I use them. There is the first panel, and that was the only one that I actually did some water on top of it. I just, wasn't feeling, I just wanted to do the ink blends. I really did keep them fairly simple. So my second blend here is Scattered Straw, Stormy Sky, and Shabby Shutters. This one is definitely a shabby chic color blend. It's so soft and so pretty, and I'm going to have to do this one again. And I'm thinking, don't quote me on this one, that Tattered Rose, I think that's what it is. Yeah, Tattered Rose would probably look really pretty on top of that yellow, like towards the top, or, to blend into the yellow towards the top for either like a really muted orange, or if you just do that pinkish to go with that would be amazingly pretty. I'm going to have to try it now that I think about it. So that was blend number 2. And so for blend number 3, I am going with Crackling Campfire, Paris Bourbon, and Rustic Wilderness. So this is it's just I think it's a 6x9 album or something like that. And I just bought the plastic sheets that are in the sewing department, like to make your own patterns for quilting. And I just use those and put Velcro on them, and it holds my ink blenders, because I like to have a separate one for separate colors, but I don't have all of those, handles. So it allows me to switch them out and go from there. And usually I, start my new ones with re-inker, but I just re-inked my ink pads and they are super juicy, so I wasn't too worried about starting my new ones without the re-inker. And this one, I knew I was going to get a little bit of mud there between the blue and the orange, which was, I was fine with it because it's a boy card, so, or, it kind of has a brown shade to it. It was all good. And then for my last one here, I went with Chipped Sapphire, Forest Moss, and Ground Espresso. So I went super dark. That was just, I wanted to do something that was a little bit different. And yes, can you see how juicy that pad is? So I worked the ink in a little bit. Probably the fastest I've ever been able to get the solid, Distress Oxide and Chipped Sapphire. It was a definitely juicy pad. And my Ground Espresso. These really did not take me long. So if you struggle with ink blending, Bristol Smooth blends like butter, and making sure those ink pads are super juicy will save you lots of time. I think it took me about 18 minutes to do all 4 panels, and that was putting away my ink daubers in between. There are all 4 of them, and here's me. So Bristol Smooth is wonderful for ink blending. Bristol Smooth is not wonderful for stamping. This was, I think this one was the Bristol Smooth. Yes, this one was the Bristol Smooth couch duck. Because I had 4 extra pieces cut, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna, keep going. Stick with the same paper, right? I hated it. It took forever to ink that one mug, and then I didn't like how it looked, so I ended up embossing over the top of it, and I switched to Express It cardstock because I had some of that sitting on my desk too, so that's what I went with. And I tried doing the the archival inks, and I couldn't get those to stamp very well either, so, you know, it was what it was. I am using some really old Distress embossing powder from Tim Holtz. This one was called Antique Linen, but it's not like, it gives it a distress. It's not his new stuff. It's his old stuff. And so by stamping them and embossing them, I kind of got that ceramic look. Yeah, you know how the ceramic mugs? That's kind of what I was going for. That's what I kind of got. And I didn't like how they looked on top of my cards. I would have had to put a grounding piece or an element under them. I just thought they got lost in my backgrounds. So I have a bunch of Tim Holtz coffee blueprints already colored and cut out that I did a few years ago. Yes, a few years ago. And so they were pre-colored already for the most part. I had left the sleeve part uncolored so I could customize it to whatever I decided to add it to. And so I was like, hey, these are fast and easy. So I squished some of the ink onto my work surface, and then I just watercolored in those to give me, you know, just that hint of color that goes with each of the cards. I don't even remember which colors I went with, but I'm pretty sure I did the sapphire one, and then maybe prize ribbon, and the green was probably the rustic wilderness. And I know I had a little bit of the other green, but I don't know. I don't think I used that one because I think I like the rustic wilderness better because it kind of was more of that other. And this one is just a white, is it puff embossing powder, so it kind of gives that foamed up look a little bit. And so I only added that to those two with the whipped cream on them. And because I'm me, I had also stamped and cut out a whole bunch of the tops in transparency. So I used Stays On ink, and then I had already, these were all cut out. I'm telling you, I was keeping it simple. And so to add that clear transparency on top of my puff embossing powder here, I just used some glossy accents just on the sides in 2 spots, and I think maybe 1 spot on the straw to add that. It gives the straw the plastic look, and it gives that plastic dome cover look. It's just kind of, you know, a fun way to add a little bit of pizzazz to them. I kept these super simple. I did not make you watch me put foam tape on the back of them and pop them all onto card fronts because that's all I did. I also stamped a sentiment in the inside of all of them, and they are ready to get mailed, you know, aside from a little bit of handwriting in the inside. If you have subscribed or are watching or all of the above, thank you so much for all of you being here. Once I get to 500 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway. I haven't decided what yet, but I will get there. Thanks.